All right, so start of this segment here, we've got a feature that I'm going to show you right off the hop here. Where we are is we are located approximately milepost 35.4. I showed you the milepost marker back then. Now I have a little bit better idea of exactly where we are now that I have the milepost marker. On the original line, that would have been milepost, around about milepost 64.3. Again, the mileages on this line changed all the time because, as I just described in the previous segment, the names kept changing. So what we have here, and this is the confusing part, because there is this sort of bumped out area over here, okay, that basically is running over here. So there was a spur here belonging to the Fort William Paper Company that was in use from 1922 to 1924. It was a 20-car spur connected at the east end. However, if you look at, you can see it kind of on the satellite imagery, but it shows up really, really well on the LiDAR imagery. We have this bump out, and you can basically see this part kind of coming off here. You can see there's a ditch on one side, and you can see the ditching on the other, and basically the main ditching runs around this, right? And so this section continues here. This would indicate that it's basically connected at both ends, but that doesn't really jive with what is listed on the timetables, right? So again, that's why I don't know if it was over there or this was something different. This could have been, you know, a temporary siding or something that may have been built when they were constructing the line. I'm not sure. But again, when you look at the LiDAR imagery, it shows up like ridiculously clear. So what I'm going to do, again, there's no map to show you of this area, so I'll show you that LiDAR imagery, and then I'll show you the timetable that has this siding on it. All right, let's get going here. We got a lot of biking to do, and it's starting to get warm. So here again, you can see this, but it looks like pieces have been dug up, and I really don't know what's going on here. You can see this bumped out area here on this side, but again, without any maps, it's really hard to kind of get a clear idea of what's going on. And you can see the telegraph poles. So just as a note, because we're going to see a lot of them standing, basically what you're going to see, and maybe I'll give you a zoomed in view here. So what you're going to see is basically in the inside, you are going to see aqua colored, what are known as CD 145s, or at least I think they are. I'm not an expert when it comes to insulators. And usually those are stamped GTP or GTP telephone company. And then on the outsides, you're going to see clear Dominion 42 insulators. And again, you're going to see that all the way along, right? Some are just going to be all clear Dominion 42s. And then there's a good chunk of them that they're going to have those aqua CD 145s in the middle. It's like literally spitting again. But I don't know, is that cloud there? Like, this is dumb. Okay. This line is so much easier to pedal on with the lack of ballast, or the fact that the ballast has all been sort of pounded flat over the years. So again, this line has been abandoned for more than 30 years. So a lot easier to ride on, a lot easier for the dog to walk on. Okay, so we're coming up to the other end of whatever this is. If, again, I don't know, is this the siding? Because again, clearly this looks like it's connected at both ends. And that siding was only connected at one end. And there's no other documentation. Now you're going to see there is another very similar type of thing like this up ahead that there's no documentation for. Okay, so basically you can see it coming out here, right there, and coming into the grade, right? And again, the ditching bounces around there, right? You wait. Okay, so you can see how it cuts into the grade nicely like a spur would. Again, you can see it's dug up here. I'm not sure what is going on here. Telegraph pole. Like I said, see lots of them. You can see the clear Dominion 42s at the end there. Nobody wants those ones. That's why they get left on here. Everybody wants the aqua colored CD 145s, and that's why they're all gone. Again, I'm not an expert with this. I've had to learn about insulators and things. I know very little. I am not a collector. There's some people that are really into collecting and things like that. That is not me by any stretch of the imagination. All right, we can get moving a little bit here. So very, very well-defined, very elaborate ditching by the Grand Trunk or Canadian government, whoever did this ditching on the sides. It's very, very distinctive. So here you can see yet more telegraph poles as I described, with the aqua colored ones in the middle and the clear Dominion 42s on the outsides. Really weird how some areas the poles are still standing, like this stretch here all the way to Kelly, which is the next station is James, which we're going to see, and then Kelly's in the next section. So all the way past Kelly, there's tons of telegraph poles still standing, some on the ground. And then after that, it's just kind of like a few here, a few there. I don't know why this stretch was left with so many. Maybe a lot of it has to do with the fact that it's very swampy in here. Maybe they just didn't want to go into some of these spots and cut down the poles. So you can see a whole bunch here. Interesting thing too, you can see a lot of these popping up. So I'm guessing when they were building the railway grade, they had to do a lot of corduroying. They had to put a lot of logs and things down because it was so swampy to try to stabilize the grade. And now with, so today is the 11th of May, with the frost, they're all popping back up. The frost is pushing them out of the ground. So yet another pole. There's quite the pattern. They're all spaced a certain distance apart, and they're all numbered. You'll see numbers on some of them, right? Because then that way they could, if there was a problem, they knew exactly what pole, right? Because the pole was numbered. So again, just like it's crazy how many poles are still up here. I didn't count, but if I had to guess, there's dozens, maybe even upwards of 100 of these telegraph poles still standing. It's crazy, and it's spitting again. Jesus. And I'm like melting because I'm wearing a dark colored shirt and black long pants. There's another pole in there. Yeah, I'm going to be pointing them out all the time. Another one here. I did try to take a look at a few that were on the ground to see if I could see any date nails in there. So one of the common things they do with railway ties, or they used to, is they used to put these little date nails in there, and it would have a number, basically be the year that the tie was produced or installed. So they basically would know that it went in. And they would often do that with the telegraph poles as well. And so I know on the Kinghorn, a lot of the poles that I've seen are like 57, 58, 59. So obviously 1957, 58, 59. I haven't seen any yet on any of these poles. Now, I think this is one more. That one there. Got, like I said, sometimes when you're going slow, you see things a little bit better. So again, I came through here last summer doing a little bit of a reconnaissance or a recce with a friend of mine, so we could sort of pre-scout everything. And no, it's not this pole, it's the next one. Obviously it was summer, so all the leaves are out or anything, so it makes it harder to see. So I obviously totally missed this. Plus you're driving too, and it's a lot harder to see things. So you will notice that on this pole there is a milepost marker, not like the last one. That was an old style wood one. This is actually a modern kind of metal one. I'll give you a zoomed in view so you can see milepost 36. So that is very, very helpful, because we do have a feature coming up, and that is going to help us kind of, I won't be able to do it now, but when I go home, I'll be able to identify things a little bit better, because now I have some mileage to work off of, as opposed to just sort of guessing. Okay, so enjoy some more poles here. This one here, you can actually see there's a CD 145, the aqua one on the top, and there's a little bracket coming down, and you can see there's a one on the bottom bracket as well. Okay, I'm going to zip you ahead a little bit. Could be lots of that today. All right, so we're gonna come up to our next point here. We're gonna stop. You can see the grade kind of does funny things in this area. So at Raith, you're up to 1,581 feet, and then it comes down a bit, and it goes up and then down and then back up. Lots of undulations. Again, a lot of it has to do with this very sort of swampy terrain. So now here's the challenge. Without knowing the proper mileage, there was a logging spur in this area. Here's the problem. I don't know if it's here, or I don't know if it's further up ahead. It does look like there was something that went off here, but again, usually the spurs are kind of off on the side. But let's talk about this one here. So the previous one belonged to the Fort William Paper Company. This one belonged to Provincial Papers. It was in use between 1924 and 1927. It was a 20-car spur connected to the east, kind of very similar to the other one. So again, milepost 36.8, 65.8 on the original line, more or less. Again, really hard to, but again, I don't have an accurate measurement. Now that I know where milepost 36 is, I can tell if it's here or if it's further up ahead. I don't exactly know right now, but in any case, we're going to stop. And if not, I'm going to show you I'll show you the timetable. Okay, so we'll pause here and we'll reload. We've got a few more things coming up here in a second.